of resolve or lack of clarity about the task ahead only helps Trump and hurts us. It is time to come together, move forward as a unified party, and defeat Donald Trump. So Biden noted in his letter that he wrote that House and Senate members are returning to Washington today. I told you earlier this morning on Kale and Company that on Axios they were quoting Democrats saying, yeah, the S is going to hit the fan. But he knows that. He's expecting that. And so this letter, I would love to know who helped write the letter, by the way. But Biden writes, now that you have returned from the July 4th recess, I want you to know that despite all the speculation in the press and elsewhere, I am firmly committed to staying in this race, to running this race to the end, and to beating Donald Trump. That's what he writes. He says that he's had extensive conversations with the leadership of the Dems, elected officials, rank and file, most importantly, Democrat voters. He writes, over the past 10 days or so, I've heard that the concerns that people have, their good faith fears and worries about what is at stake in this election. Biden writes that he's not blind to them. Believe me, he writes, I know better than anybody the responsibility and the burden the nominee of our party carries. I carried it in 2020 when the fate of our nation was at stake. Now, part of this is he knows that he's running a campaign. He knows that this will make news and be public, but he's writing about his lifetime of public service, which is pretty much his entire life. He's been doing this, 60 years about as a career politician. If you look up career politician, you look it up, there's Joe Biden's picture. I mean, he's the epitome of a career partisan politician. He says he's been grateful for the rock solid, steadfast support from so many elected Democrats in Congress and all across the country. And he gets great strength from the resolve and determination that he's seen from so many voters and grassroots supporters, even in the hardest of weeks. But he's responding saying that he would not be running again. This is what he claims. He claims he would not run again if I did not absolutely believe, he writes, I was the best person to beat Donald J. Trump in 2024. And so there are some defiant tones in this letter as we're getting this as a developing and breaking news story this morning. He says, we had a democratic nomination process. The voters have spoken clearly and decisively. He says that he received more than 14 million votes, 87% of the votes cast across the nominating process. He says, quote, and this is the critical part, as I said earlier this morning on Kale and Company, this comes down to the delegates. They are the kingmakers. He writes, quote, I have nearly 3,900 delegates, making me the presumptive nominee of our party by a wide margin. This was a process open to anyone who wanted to run. Only 3 people chose to challenge me. The voters of the Democratic Party have voted. They have chosen me to be the nominee of the party. Do we now just say this process did not matter, that the voters don't have a say? So he says he declines to drop out. That's the end of the story. I have the letter, and at the top it says Joseph R. Biden Jr., dated July 8th today, and it's written to fellow Democrats. So it starts out with, he doesn't say welcome back. He says now that you've returned from recess. But the bottom line is it goes on and on. This is a long single space. Mr. President, not for nothing, but could you go a double space? But he ends with saying, move forward as a unified party and defeat Donald Trump, and then sincerely, and then his signature, President of the United States of America. So first of all, your reaction, and we'll play some highlights and lowlights with George Stephanopoulos, ABC News. Obviously, what he viewed or hoped was a friendly interview. I will say in this, once again, we see a heavily airbrushed bronze. I think they fired the makeup artist because he's heavily bronzed, not pasty. For his part, I will say George Stephanopoulos looked pretty pasty, could have used some of the bronzing, but Biden speaking out in that interview, we'll get through it. But, where did Joe Biden go? Where did he go for support? Well, he went to a prominent church right here in Philadelphia, in Mount Airy. So I want to play a piece of this. Do we have it yet? So I want to play a piece of it as he's welcomed in by the congregation, and he relates to, and I asked you earlier, who do you think he related to? Moses, who could not make it to the promised land? No, it was a New Testament story. As Joe Biden, not Job, but Joseph. That's who he relates to, another Joe, Joseph, with his many coats. And he's relating to this story in the New Testament, saying that he relates to, Joseph and the coat of many colors. Now, I don't know. I would like to ask him, are you referring to, Donny Osmond and that Joseph's coat? Because, it was the Amazing Technicolor. Remember that? It was a big show, and Donny Osmond. So I'm just wondering if he's thinking about Donny Osmond, or if he's really thinking about the Bible. But this was something that he told the very welcoming, local congregation as he's relating to Joseph with the many coats. And remember, and this is critical, Joseph was betrayed by his own brothers. Do you remember the story? So I think that this is clever, that he is in a church and he's relating to Joseph with his many coats, because remember that Joseph was favored by the father, remember? And he was given this beautiful coat of many colors as he was the favored son. And so the jealous siblings, the brothers, throw him down into the pit or the cave and tell their father, oh no, he fell down and he was killed, or we don't know what, he's lost, and so on and so forth. Then Joseph goes into slavery and he has to make his way back. Remember the story? So I think it's interesting and telling that he's really noting a story of betrayal. That's his little subliminal message that I see. It's not the story of Job, who is working hard, right? A great Bible story of Job. No, that's not the story. The story is, hey, I'm being betrayed by my fellow Democrats. Now, I don't know if in the media, if they really know the Bible that well, or the story of Joseph. Maybe they've gone to the Donny Osmond show, not sure. But do we have it yet? Darn it. We had, let's just go to your short clip. This is about 16 seconds. Let's go to this one if we can. And this one was, you'll hear more from the congregation. It was covered nationally, and it's very energetic, as you can well imagine. But in this one, this is Joe Biden as he's addressing the local congregation. They're very excited. The President of the United States is there. Yes, just yesterday. He was in Manayunk as well, by the way. Listen in.
We're all called to be doers of the world. In this nation, that means keeping our eyes on the North Star, the very idea of America, that we're all created equal in the image of God and deserve to be treated with dignity and respect our entire lives.
Yes, so with dignity, he's talking about dignity. He's talking about the fact that he's Joseph with the coat being betrayed by his brothers. In this case, his partisan political brothers. But the truth is, with Joe Biden, that it does not matter. It does not matter what his fellow Democrats say. It does not matter what Nancy Pelosi says. It all comes down to the delegates. And that's why he mentions the delegates in his little letter that he has penned, or that they've penned for him, whichever way you want to look at it. But the delegates matter in this one because they are his. So over the weekend, I was looking up, what if these delegates decide that Joe Biden is not the choice, even though they're his people and they're supposed to be loyal, right? But what if they decide that, you know what, this is more than a senior moment. This is more than one bad performance. He's the president of the United States of America. This is too important. It's critical to our nations, to our national security. And so I was looking up, well, what are they ordered to do? What are they bound? What pledge do these delegates make? And are they bound to support Biden at the convention? And this is an important question. So I had looked up the rules, And I want to look up the pledge, and I'll just make this short. The delegates elected to the National Convention for the Democrats, right? They pledged to a presidential candidate. The ones that pledged shall in all good conscience reflect the sentiments of those who elected them. Delegates elected to the National Convention pledged to a presidential candidate shall in all good conscience reflect the sentiments of those who elected them. So that one word, shall. And also, I think the word of good conscience, that they can look within their conscience and look to the greater good. There's some wiggle room here. This is not an absolute. Yes, they are bound to their candidate. That's true. They're bound to Biden, right? But they're not tied to it because it says in all good conscience. And I think if you look at that, yes, of course, if this is the candidate and there is no other reason that they should go against him, of course. They can't just go rogue. But what about it? I mean, what if, now they'd all have to come together. They are meeting over the next 2 weeks. Did you know that? And they have to remember this, that their duty is to look within in all good conscience. So there is wiggle room here. And that brings it up this week and what's happening right now. And I'll wrap up by saying this, that yes, although we have, for example, Biden turning to a famous black church here in Philadelphia, obviously a lot of support in the church and many people saying they're praying for him. And he happened to be with a bishop who is, more than a decade older than him, who was saying he's a young guy. And there were some great moments there, right? But when you think about what's happening this week, as Biden is meeting with NATO leaders, they'll wrap up this 3-day summit in Washington, and it's a big deal. Thursday afternoon, he is expected to hold this news conference. How will he appear in that news conference? In my humble opinion, over the next 2 weeks, as these delegates are meeting, if Biden, God forbid, has another one of these brain lapses, a moment where it's not just, look, anybody, you don't have to be a senior to have a quote unquote senior moment. That's not what we're talking about here. I mean, somebody who forgets where they are, somebody who forgets the name of somebody who they've known for decades of their life, and they've appointed an important, I'm talking about Mayorkas, for example, where he just blanked on his name. This is somebody who you chose in your inner circle, who serves you, who you meet with on a routine basis. That's not normal. And so if, God forbid, he has one of those moments where it's a really awkward, uncomfortable moment where he just has a complete lapse and almost a mental breakdown, if you will, in public, that weighs heavily, I believe, on these delegates. They have the power, not Democrat. Don't look to the Democrats. Look to the delegates, because in this case, they have the power. That's why Biden is writing this letter and he's addressing them. It's critical. It's critical, which is why he'll be on prompter, okay? But if he still messes up big time over the next 2 weeks, it very well could weigh on the conscience of these delegates. But it takes them meeting, coming together, and they would have to make a decision, I believe, to say, okay, what are we going to do about it? Thus far, I don't believe that's going to happen. You can weigh in, 855-839-1210. I do want to, I want you to think about this as well, Trump. There is some Trump news with the Trump cases. I'll address that around the corner, but I'm up against a break. By the way, in 1 hour, Christine Flowers in the 11 a.m. hour, she'll join me. And we're going to talk about some hopeful news, some positive news coming out of Philadelphia, making national news as well. So I want to hear about your holiday weekend. Are you still down the shore? Lucky you. But the 4th of July holiday, what it means to you. We'll take a quick break. Be right back. 855-839-1210. This is The Dawn Show. Be right back.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
Colonel Mannion, it is an absolute pleasure to speak with you again.
Yeah, it's great to be with you here. Having lost a son in defense of our freedoms means everything to me, Nick. You know, we're super proud of him, and his mom set up a small memorial fund, and before we knew it, she had grown it to a level that we never expected. Part of that was, you know, Travis and who he was.
Colonel Tom Mannion joining us here on the 1210 WPHT Veteran Spotlight, presented by Window Nation.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Was just down the shore with my kids making summer memories. It's so much fun. Please, if a summer vacation seems unaffordable this year, don't give it up. Book a stay at the Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. They make getting away affordable and possible. They give you those summer memories. Book a July midweek stay and you will receive resort credits. The longer you stay, the more you get in resort credits. Stay 3 nights, get $60 a night in resort credits. Stay 5 nights, get $70 a night. Stay 7 nights, get $80 a night in resort credits, and you can use them for food and beverages. You can use them to take your family on a whale-watching boat cruise, pool bar, beach concession stand. It's up to you. And here's the best part. They offer guest rooms, suites, and townhouses equipped with a kitchenette, so it's like renting a shore home, but with all the amenities and conveniences of a full-service resort. Skip packing the sheets and towels, but enjoy the conveniences of a private kitchenette, an outdoor pool, and an indoor pool. Book direct with them for the best rates and to get your resort credits. Offers good till July 18th, so book your stay today. They will sell out. 800-257-8550 or visit them at grandhotelcapemay.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
A heat advisory is in effect throughout most of our region, along with a code orange for air quality concerns. President Biden tells congressional Democrats he's not stepping aside and says it's time for the party drama to end. And Beryl is ripping through Texas, leaving hundreds of thousands in the dark.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This summer, take a trip down memory lane with me and hear from the legends of baseball. I'm Brett Boone from the Brett Boone Podcast. Every week I have a conversation with one of baseball's greats to talk about the glory days and reflect on today's game. Randy Johnson, Pete Rose, Deion Sanders, Jay Buhner, Albert Bell, and Goose Gossage, they've all shared their wisdom with stories of their playing days. To hear who's next, follow and listen to the Brett Boone Podcast on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
Yeah, so your thoughts on Joe Biden and the delegates, in my humble opinion, he's not going anywhere. So over the next 8 days, by the way, we hopefully, by probably this time next week, because obviously the RNC begins next week. So Trump expected to name his running mate in Veep Stakes. We've had a lot of fun with this one on our Veep Stakes. I just don't see that it's going to be somebody from Florida because of the residency issue that I've talked a lot about. But the 4-day Republican convention opens in Milwaukee, and that is Monday, July 15th. Taking you through the schedule, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he'll address a joint session of Congress. That happens July 24th. The Summer Olympics open in Paris July 26th and run through August 11th. The Democrats' convention opens in Chicago. That is August 19th. So the Democrats have the advantage, obviously, of being more than a month later, and that's a big advantage for them. So we have, with Biden, He believes the Biden camp reportedly hoping for a strong week at NATO and a powerful performance, as I've said, at this Thursday's press conference, news conference. And my question is, will it be a true news conference? It's not a true news conference if he takes no questions. Just remember that. If he makes a statement on prompter and then does his little scuffle, when they start shouting and he never takes any questions, that's a huge problem. And I would hope after what happened in Philadelphia here, where we had a radio broadcaster who the campaign gave the questions and essentially, pressured the broadcaster to choose out of the given questions so they could prepare. And we talked a lot about it on Kale and Company earlier, so I won't go back into it. But we have had a sense that so many of the questions were planted and that Biden even had planned responses and knew which order he was going to take everybody in, knew the questions, had things in prompter. I hope that ends, especially with the scuttlebutt that has been happening, that happened here in Philadelphia, right? But he's got to take questions from reporters. We'll see if he does on Thursday. It's so important. So he's insisting, and he's insisting that he is firmly committed to staying in the race. That's the bottom line in this wordy letter to congressional Democrats, and noting that he has the power, he has the delegates. That is his story, and he's sticking to it from the 81-year-old commander-in-chief. So your thoughts, 855-839-1210. Do you hope that he drops out? Do you hope then that Kamala, and I don't see them getting around Kamala Harris. No way, no how. It's not happening. I don't care what anybody says. And then as far as Donald J. Trump, what about Trump? What happens now after SCOTUS? And you don't hear much of this. But remember the Supreme Court ruling right before the Supreme Court said bye-bye for the session, right? And they dropped some, these are some ball busters, if you will, with these rulings. I love the fact that SCOTUS stuck to the Constitution, and that the Supreme Court says that presidents have immunity for their core constitutional powers. What a hot mess. And by the way, this is President Joe Biden right now should be happy. Former President Obama with those drone strikes, the ones that struck down and killed some Americans. Remember that? So no, as it should be, the commander-in-chief, the president, the most powerful individual in the world, yes, should have immunity for those core constitutional powers, 100%. So everybody's losing their minds over this, but it's common sense. And by the way, saying that it's a conservative court that's on Trump's side, no, I disagree with that. I'll always disagree. The court ruled that Trump is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts. What about unofficial acts? The court properly say there are actions that could be prosecuted. They just have to be unrelated to the president's official duties. Ding, 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 ding. Now, why is that a problem for one Jack Smith, special, not so special prosecutor? Because that makes it such that it's really not cut and dried for Jack Smith. Because remember, so let's take the Mar-a-Lago case. Remember that when Trump left, he left the White House. And by the way, they didn't have to have a special team remove former President Trump and First Lady Melania, did they? No, they left. They packed up, and they didn't personally pack up. This is not like Nick Cale packing up his U-Haul. He's told us about, where he's in the U-Haul truck leaving from Nashville. What was that, a couple weeks ago? That's not what this is. The Trump family, the first family, they don't pack themselves. Right? But things are packed up. But he was still the president of the United States of America when that packing happened and when he left. Remember? Because he left, he didn't attend the swearing in of Joe Biden. Remember? So he was still president of the United States of America when he left the White House, And when they flew to Mar-a-Lago, he was still the president. Because remember, he wasn't there for the swearing in. And not all presidents are, by the way, but he was not there. This is a problem for Jack Smith, who claims, oh, Trump wasn't president anymore when he took those documents. Oh, yeah, Jack, he was. Once again, Jack is wrong. That's why all the cases were the big cases where Jack Smith was the persecutor. Remember in Virginia, the case, they always seem to get overthrown. John Edwards, who was a Democrat, same thing, got thrown out. So for Jack Smith, here's the problem. Even if something happened with the archived paperwork that he claims that Trump has, the problem is Trump was the president when those documents were taken. That's a real problem for Jack Smith. So in the federal election interference allegation and in the classified documents case, that was the Mar-a-Lago raid, these cases, even liberal-leaning, pundits are saying that these cases are dead. They're DOA for Jack Smith because he's got to parse through this, you see? And the same with the so-called hush money case. That's a bookkeeping case. Trump was obviously scheduled this week, this Thursday, July 11th. Not going to happen. It's delayed until September 18th, and that gives the Trump team. They're going through all of this, and all of these cases, and I've said this from day one, they're all going to get thrown out. And the political nastiness of this, the motivation always was they wanted a conviction in deep blue Manhattan. That judge and all these judges, they made it so that jury in Manhattan, I don't think had a choice. They were just so locked in with what the choices they gave the jury and how they worded it to the jury. It's all going to be thrown out. It was all political persecution, in my humble opinion. 855-839-1210, the number to call. And so all of these decisions are pushed back to the fall. I believe at the end of the day, they'll be pushed back past November 5th. And once November 5th happens, that's when the Democrats are going to show their cards. All of this, well, it'll just evaporate. It'll just slowly evaporate like the stank of the Democrat swamp. And hopefully by then, the Trump team gets in and they start to clean out the swamp. And I hope they're consistent, too. Clean out those in the swamp who've been partisans on the right as well. They got to clean it out on both sides. You can't just go one-sided here. This is an opportunity where we could see, and I'm being fair here, I talk about the fact that when then President Barack Obama, when he came into power, what did he have? He had it all. He had the White House with Obama, Democrat. He had the House. Remember this? He had the entire Congress, in other words, the House and the Senate. Did they choose to build back the economy and build back jobs? No. They were upset. Did they do the congressional reform? Did they do that with regard to the border? No, they did not do, what do they call it? Comprehensive immigration reform. Obama could have done it, did not get it done. This is the opportunity now, fast forward, for Trump taking the Senate and the Republicans taking the entire Congress, the Senate, the House. We've seen it. It's possible. And that's why Democrats are having a freak out right now. And down ballot Democrats are having a freak out. So this will be an opportunity that we must keep Republicans accountable. Because if they have it all, what will they do with that? They need to look at the economy, fix it. How can they fix it? Because before you call and say, well, Dawn, the Republicans, or the Democrats, the president, they don't control inflation. Oh, really? Let's look at what Trump did. Deregulation. That's one answer. How many times do I interview all these different experts? What do they talk about here in Pennsylvania and across the country? The regulations are so tough. They're job killing. That's another reason I believe Trump will win, and Republicans, because of the jobs. All these tight regulations are crushing jobs, union jobs, working people, right? As well, What sparks the economy or shuts down the economy? Fuel prices. So when you're talking about building, and I've just talked about it last week, if you're talking about the turbines and pounding them into the ocean, which, by the way, how many experts have I talked to who say that contributes to the warming of the ocean water? And that's proven, right? But if you're talking about getting back the fuel and lowering the fuel prices in fuel-rich Pennsylvania, right? Think about it. Trump talks about it all the time. What does it mean? It means, number one, quickly, jobs, the deregulation, and lowering our fuel prices as we head into the winter. Think about it. That's one thing that just jumpstarts the economy. Now, moving forward, do I hope we get solar and think about solar? Yeah, I prefer solar eventually, but do a hybrid, just like a hybrid vehicle where the gas-fueled engine recharges that battery. We have not perfected the technology. So do a hybrid plan for now. That's more reasonable. You're not just going to crush the country. You're not going to crush the jobs or crush the economy. But part of the reason the Democrats are going for the wind turbines, I believe this firmly, in places like New Jersey and off the shore here and even in the Gulf, and Republicans back in the day. Why? Because partisans, they get their vig, as my dear friend Rich Cioli talks about. So all of these partisans on either sides of the aisle look to the money. Where does the money flow? I hope to God Trump and his administration shuts that down. Do what's right. But I believe that he can jumpstart our economy, and that's what we need, especially heading into the winter. It can happen. And then as well, it'll be a reset on the world stage, because I don't think that any of these world leaders will carry on their nonsense knowing that they've got to answer to DJT. 855-839-1210. I'll take your calls on the other side. Be right back.
Join Team Kale and Company once again this year for the Bend to Shore Bike Tour on Sunday, July 21st. From Philly to Atlantic City, you can do the ride or just donate to support the cause. Visit bendtoshore.org. That's shore.org. Let's show everyone how WPHT and Odyssey supports law enforcement. Bend to Shore is organized by Families Behind the Badge Children's Foundation. FBBCF provides financial relief for the families of fallen and injured first responders and supports the Police Youth Alliance, which fosters a positive relationship between police and youth. Sponsored by Gelman Law. Need a criminal defense attorney or personal injury? Visit GelmanLawFirm.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Get ready for a gift from Rescue Natural Supplements. It's their Christmas in July sale. That's right, the season of giving is making a summer comeback with huge savings. That means all health supplements will be slashed up to 50, 60, even 70% off site-wide. Treat yourself with savings on heart-healthy omega-3s, pain-relieving anti-inflammatories, natural immunity boosters, and so much more. To order, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a rescue product consultant or shop online at res-q.com, res-q.com. Don't miss Rescue's Christmas in July sale. Shop savings up to 70% off all natural solutions for your highs and lows, from high blood pressure, cholesterol, low energy, testosterone. Rescue's got you covered. Hurry on over. Unwrap the joy of a healthier you at res-q.com. Do it today.
Hi, I'm Rachel, and I have a serious heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. I still had symptoms on my beta blocker, so I asked my cardiologist about any treatment advances. It was a breakthrough for me. That's why I'm working with Bristol Myers Squibb to raise awareness about HCM and to help others like me. Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb. We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope.
TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Yo, Roy is Ford. We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
So we started out at 10 o'clock with a little REO Speedwagon. In your letter, everybody's talking about Joe Biden writing this letter, a very wordy, kind of rambling letter at points. But I think the crux of it, especially when he says, this is my interpretation, I've got the delegates. So the delegates are the key here. That's the bottom line on this one. And as far as Trump, as his attorneys still, he has all these different attorneys, all these different cases. That continues. But I believe that's all in the appeals process. I don't think we're going to see anything happening with Trump in court before November 5th, unless it gets thrown out completely. 855-839-1210. Let's get to some of your calls. We got, is this Frank in Burlington? Hey, Frank.
Yes. Hi. I don't know. To me, it's amazing how, there's such a disconnect between Biden and his Catholic faith. Using Joe as an example, Joseph, you're kidding me, right? He's betrayed. I mean, even we're talking about abortion, 600,000 babies, he thinks that's okay. He's betraying them. Or 15 million people across the border, absolute havoc being spread everywhere. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, you're using Joseph as an example. You're the biggest betrayer that we got going right now. Think about it. I think, and how about ironic when he goes to that abortion rally and he gives the sign of the cross. Boy, thank God I'm not God. He would have been a pile of ashes 2 times, And it's all I can say is the good Lord is merciful, and somebody's got to tell him don't bring religion into it.
Yeah.
If please, I don't know. It just bothers me. It really does.
Yeah, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. Yeah, and who was there with him is Pennsylvania Senator Bob Casey as well. Now, I can't find anywhere that Casey actually spoke at the church. So Biden actually coming up to the pulpit, to the podium, invited by their bishop there. But I don't see that Bob Casey spoke. But you just brought that up, that here's Bob Casey. His dad obviously was pretty much the last Democrat and Catholic who voted by his faith and his conviction. And that's why I think Bob Casey Sr. is still so respected. But the junior, not so much. So there's Bob Casey Jr., who is, I think that Dave McCormick is giving him a run for his money for sure on the Republican side. But Casey Jr. not speaking, but standing there with Biden. He is a rubber stamp for Biden. He's voted with him the vast majority of the time. And so he's there, not invited to speak. And actually, I think that Henry, is pulling a little 6ABC report, a wrap-up. I know Mayor Sherrell Parker was there at the church with Biden giving this Unite speech. But let's get Tom's take as well, 855-839-1210. Hey, Tom.
Good morning.
Morning.
I just have a question. I would like to know if he did his usual stance at the podium where he had to be led off by Joe Biden and he's wearing his orthopedic shoes, and anything else that would be different that would show that he's much more clear in his thinking.
Well, that's a good. From what I see, and it's all on YouTube. All of his events. So he had the event in Mount Airy, had the event in Manayunk, then traveled to Harrisburg as well. Did not speak to the NEA, to the teachers union, because of a strike, and so that was why they canceled. He was supposed to speak Sunday to the NEA. I did not see that. Now remember that even his staff has acknowledged that he's best between 10 and 4, and there's a nap somewhere in there. But I didn't see that he was led off the stage. But he was with First Lady Jill Biden. So she was there. I don't see that he's really stumbling. I don't know if Henry, do you have this where we want to play this? Let's listen in. This is a 6 ABC report. Henry cut a quick piece of it, so let's listen to him.
Inside and outside of the church today, extra security, extra patrols preparing for the president's visit is an important stop as he works to boost his approval rating.
We're all called to be doers of the world. In this nation, that means keeping our eyes on the North Star, the very idea of America, that we're all created equal in the image of God and deserve to be treated with dignity and respect our entire lives.
President Biden entered the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ to a standing ovation. By his side, Mayor Sherrell Parker, Senator Bob Casey, and Senior Pastor Bishop J. Lewis Felton, a last-minute stop in his campaign trail that's become more aggressive in the last week. There have been growing pressure for Biden to prove his mental acuity and fitness for office as the Democratic nominee for president. This comes after a poor performance during the debate June 27th, where he stumbled through parts of it. Biden sat down for an exclusive interview with ABC Friday, but that interview did little to reassure some in the Democratic Party and some voters. 5 Democratic members of Congress have now called for Biden to get out of the race. Biden's answer is to hit the campaign trail even harder, his focus on the key battleground states like Pennsylvania. This is just one stop during a busy day of campaigning. After Biden's speech is over here at the church, he plans to head to Harrisburg.
Yes, so that was the 6 ABC report. I think a good roundup. And then they're saying that he was not on prompter, but clearly when I see him speaking at the Mount Airy Church of God in Christ, that's yesterday, before he headed off to Harrisburg, he's clearly reading off of a script and looking down and reading off of a scripted speech. And so his wife Jill with him there, traveling then to Harrisburg, and that's where he went to an AFSCME, a local union hall in Harrisburg, where he stepped outside to speak to the crowd. They've made note that he did not have a teleprompter there as well, and that it was an off-the-cuff speech without a prompter. I will say in these, it appears that he has at least some notes that he's referring to, but I think that's normal. So, I mean, to answer your question, it looks like because the day started about 10 o'clock in the morning, these were relatively quick campaign stops. As far as the one in Harrisburg, I believe that one was Fetterman, Senator John Fetterman, accompanied on that one with his wife Giselle. Earlier in the day, as I say, Bob Casey was at the Mount Airy Church. So he did talk in Harrisburg, criticizing former President Trump's tax cuts, and said that he would work on fairer taxes. My question is, well, you've had 4 years. Why not? Why haven't you worked on quote unquote fairer taxes, if that's the way that he worded it, and beefing up the middle class, if that's what he's talking about? He did hand the mic over to Fetterman while in Harrisburg. So I think that as far as that one goes, that one was a pretty quick speech in Harrisburg. Like I say, handing it over, Fetterman taking it over from there, who spoke about the economy and the drastic change in the state of the country between 2020 to 2024. So I would say this, really? You think we're better off under this administration? That's a tough sell. So Fetterman talked about hoarding toilet paper, but that was during the pandemic. He said, we've got to zoom in right now, and we're right here right now. Remember what that was like? It doesn't sound like a great moment, especially when you're talking about the pandemic issues and supply chain issues. And certainly nobody was mentioning that the most deaths happened in the winter of 2021. At one point in January of 2021, the deaths escalating to 16,000+ a day under President Joe Biden. So I don't know if that was the smartest tactic to take. But 855-839-1210. All right, I'm up against another quick break. We'll take a break, come right back, take some of your calls. We have more news, some good news too. We'll get into it. More Trump news, more Pennsylvania and Philadelphia news. Be right back.
Congressman Byron Donalds, the man himself. Any comments on Biden's executive action on the border?
The man is gaslighting the American people. The reason Joe Biden is doing this is because his poll numbers suck. Let's just call it exactly what it is. Don't mince words. His poll numbers suck because he sucks as a president. He's terrible, and he's got to do a fig leaf of reversing course. And that's what this mess is today. America, do not be confused by this charade and this sham.
Rich Cioli, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
Hi, everyone. Matt here from Emmons Roofing and Siding. There are a lot of companies out there that say they do roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Some good, some not so good. Be careful of those that say buy two, get two free. Does that really make sense? Think about it. At Emmons, we don't offer gimmicks, just quality products installed by our experienced craftsmen. We do offer 12 months, same as cash financing, though. That's not a gimmick. That's because we know how tough it is for some people right now to get these projects done. If you need roofing, siding, or windows and doors, call us for a free estimate today at 856-885-6677 or visit us at callemmons.com.
Lose 20 to 40 plus pounds guaranteed with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into their radio show Sundays at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
See Joe Conklin and the City Rhythm Orchestra in a tribute to Philly sports fans on the Boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey, Saturday, July 13th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
joeconklin.com! Pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away? Check out QC Kinetics. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Hey, Cherry Hill. We know your favorite station is WPHT. Tell your smart speaker, play 1210 WPHT.
Yeah, so I'll wrap up this piece on Joe Biden in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, met with Governor Josh Shapiro, who couldn't make it to the earlier events with Biden because of, quote-unquote, intense budget negotiations. Remember the fact that we still don't have a budget in Pennsylvania. And, in fact, over the weekend, we saw that there was this weird terrorist threat that went out that talked about, that was threatening everybody inside, that they needed to, I don't know, criticize. It was a very anti-Israel, nasty, it seemed anti-Semitic to me, but a nasty threat of terrorism against those in Harrisburg. Police went in, did a sweep. They had to evacuate over the weekend. The FBI was involved. They found nothing at all. It was an email that was sent. So I know that they're investigating that one. But the intense budget negotiations continue. I know that Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre had stated that Shapiro and Biden, BFFs, the two men, paid a visit to a nearby coffee shop where the president tipped $20 and also avoided questions about about all the latest. So he was avoiding questions by the media, which that is a pattern that we're seeing constantly. So just to wrap that one up, I will say that even Meathead, Rob Reiner, had released a statement. It was either today or late yesterday. And as well a Democrat from Tampa City. The member of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, said, "I believe it's in the best interest of our country and the world that President Joe Biden step aside and allow Vice President Kamala Harris to carry forward his agenda as our Democratic nominee." Director Rob Reiner, Hollywood stalwart, as is written, meathead. He helped fundraise for Biden in the past, as you know. He just had posted, "It's time for Joe Biden to step down." Ouch. You know, when Meathead is telling you to step down, that's never good. That's never a good thing. 855-839-1210. Charlie's in Philadelphia. You say what, Charlie?
Yeah, I have to agree with your last caller about Biden and his being a Catholic. And I remember Casey Sr., I was still voting Democrat back then, that he was going to make a speech at the Democratic convention that year. I forget what year it was. It was late 90s, I believe. But they wouldn't let him speak at the convention because he was pro-life and he was pro-marriage, traditional marriage. And that's what I said to my wife. I'm not going to vote Democrat anymore. And at the time, I think I switched to Republican, which I'm an independent now. But there's very few real Catholic people left in the Democratic Party that I see that are really Catholics. But even as a whole, if half of the Catholics in this country voted their conscience in the way, you know, they should be on abortion, that you wouldn't have what's going on now. They would have never gotten office, half these people. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I remember Bernard Matheson, the father of abortion, who became a Catholic, was actually baptized by Fulton Sheen. He made a statement that if all the Catholic bishops and cardinals and all would have stuck together and said something and voiced their outrage and everything, and got Catholics on the, you know, against it, you would have never had these abortions go through like it did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It would have never happened. So you gotta blame the Catholic Church. I do. I blame us for not speaking up and being more, vocal about it. You don't hear any priest at church give homilies on abortion or anything. You know what I mean? You don't hear a word about it. I haven't heard it. I know in the last 20 years, I haven't heard anybody say anything about it. I always wonder why. But, I guess they're told from the hierarchy that they're not allowed. I don't know. It'll scare people off or something.
Yeah, and that's a great point. That where is the Catholic Church in all of this? Just making a statement. You
just had Biden say life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for what? For everybody but the unborn children? I mean, you can't say a kid's not alive when it's got brainwaves and a heartbeat. It's incredible. And I don't know. And he's at a church saying this, and the people are clapping, applauding him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
I appreciate you, Charlie. And you're right. It was the 1992 Democratic National Convention, quite a controversy. And to this day, I have so many family members like you who that was when they said, I'm done. And we're seeing, in a time of great innovation, you think about the smartphones, the AI, all the technology, it's not unusual that they go hand in hand, that at a time of great innovation, we see political changes as well. And so we're seeing that, the Republican Party, think about it, with the Republican Party under Trump in 2016, garnered the vote of many union workers. Now that changed in 2020. But will Trump regain that union vote? I'm not talking the police unions and Border Patrol. I think clearly they're with Trump. But what about the workers? When you look at the focus on on policies with the Biden administration that clearly are job killers, but then I think about the Republicans like Van Drew, and in New Jersey, the Republicans have ended up standing with the environmental advocates who have long been the darlings of the Democrat Party. All of a sudden, the Republicans are the ones who are against the what Cindy Ziff calls what does she call it? The paving of the ocean floor. And there's a lot of science that says those turbines, they're not great for the environment. They warm the ocean. I won't go into it because maybe you've heard those interviews or you can go back, but I mean, the science is quite definitive on that. And so it's interesting to me that it's upside down land, that Republicans now taking over some of those environmental causes with the advocates out there who for decades are the people looking around going, wow, I'm being backed by Republicans. For the longest time, I was on every cover of every magazine because I was an environmental advocate, hailed by and applauded by the Democrats. We're seeing all of this kind of being turned on its head. But as far as Casey, remember, I'll just point out this lowlight. Al Gore was the one who called on Casey, who called Casey the next day, and he did apologize. So at least Al Gore, it sounds like, had a little bit of class that he did call Casey the next day, and he did apologize to him, but it was, I think, too little too late. I think people were so turned off. But the point you make, that there you have Casey Jr., the junior, who's there in a church, whose family, Catholic, pro-life, and he's not. He's just doing whatever, he's doing anything and saying anything to keep his partisan political job. And I just think at the end of the day, that's what we've got to get rid of on both sides of the aisle. Partisan hacks who just, this is their career. It's the only thing they've known. On both sides, let's get rid of all of them. That's my take. 855-839-1210. Charlie, I thank you so much for the call. I got to stay to time, up against a tough break. We have some developing stories that I want to get right to, and then Christine Flowers the next hour as well.
Kale and Company weekday mornings 6 till 10.
A big shout out to this audience for their donations and their generosity as we have cleared the 15K hurdle. We are $4,500 away, give or take, from July 21st and our 20K goal. Because as you know, if we get to $20,000, Stalker will have to ride and go 65 miles. And we want that, folks. All of us want Greg Stalker to have to ride a bike 65 miles in what I hope is scorching hot weather.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. We may be able to significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379, 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano for my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz and the Bentz Dental Group. His state-of-the-art facility makes your dentistry as easy as can be. Recently, they had a permanent tooth put in. And you know how it is. In the past, you bite down, it's too high. It's always too high. The back and forth getting it just right. Well, not this time. With Dr. Bentz, it fit perfectly the first time. Call the Bentz Dental Group now, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com, 610-272-6949.
Look at you. Your life is under control. Errands? Done. Groceries? Got 'em. It's a good time to give yourself a reward. You know the one. Your favorite tasty cake treat. Is it the delicious crimpet or the mouthwatering candy cake? No matter where you are, choose what feels right and enjoy. You've earned it, and you know you deserve it. Tasty cake, accept no substitutes.
Today we're constantly taking photos and videos to remember our favorite moments. But what about those captured before the smartphone? What about the memories tucked away on aging VHS tapes, film reels, or in fading photos?
These cherished memories are fading away with time, vulnerable to threats like heat, moisture, and mold. But fear not, there's a solution to safeguard your legacy. Hi, I'm Adam.
And I'm Nick. Together we founded Legacy Box over a decade ago with one mission, to bring your memories into the 21st century.
It's time to bid farewell to old tapes you can't watch and faded photos. Legacy Box transforms them into digital treasures, ready to share with a click.
Just like magic, your shoebox of memories is now safely stored in the cloud or on a thumb drive.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box, so you can rest assured your priceless moments are in good hands.
Don't let your childhood fade away on old tapes. It's time to digitize those priceless moments.
Fast forward into the digital age. Visit legacybox.com/value and unlock 50% off your order. That's legacybox.com/value.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Yes, politically, the lead story right now is Joe Biden as he defies Democrats who are calling for him to step down and stand down. Not gonna do it. Joe Biden, he's in it. He's stubborn. He's feisty. And he's meeting with NATO leaders. So we've got that one going on. There's so much news. I hope you had a wonderful 4th of July holiday. And as we talk about politics, I started out this morning, unfortunately, 6 o'clock this morning in Kale & Company News Live, talking about the fact that we had this mass shooting in Philadelphia. And it's not making any headlines that I'm seeing in focus as this morning as people get back to work. And I think that's on purpose. Can you only imagine if a different scenario, if somebody, some white guy in a red hat, maybe a red hat that says MAGA, had, God forbid, done something violent, it would be all over. But right now, we don't see any headlines involving this mass shooting that took one teenager's life and injured, a total of 8 hurt, some of them in critical condition, hospitalized this morning. Those victims, it happened on the 1900 block of South Salford Street, King Sessing section of Philadelphia, and it happened on July 4th. Like I say, ages 14 to 24, and clearly there was maybe, we don't know the motive, and that's always the case. Police investigating, searching for this shooter. Some guy drives by in an SUV, rolls down the window, and opens fire on a crowd of people celebrating July 4th. Kids, it's just sick. So maybe they intended one target. Did they even have the right person? But this idea that they would open fire on a whole crowd of people, it's horrifying to see this happening over and over in Philadelphia. In this one, the 19-year-old young man was gunned down, was killed. We know that among the injured, the youngest, a 14-year-old boy, shot in the thigh, 15-year-old girl shot in the foot, and I believe shot in the foot, maybe in the thigh, a 16-year-old shot in the thigh. All these 17-year-old, graze wound to the head, 21-year-old. My God, some of our ERs look like a triage center, a war zone. I know that Mayor Parker, to her credit, held a news conference. She was shaken by this. And I loved one of the things that she said, which was, this is not normal. We can never get used to this happening anywhere, but especially here in Philadelphia. And I think that's a correct way to look at it. This is not normal. This is not acceptable. We're going to find these individuals. So I know that the vigils and funeral services, one funeral service for the teenager, but vigils and prayers for those children who were shot. By the way, I did not see in Biden's speech, I did not see where he talked about the crime and the violence in our communities in Philadelphia. Maybe if he addressed it, I apologize, because I was looking through the speech. I did not see it. He was talking about party politics and uniting, and said a lot of nasty stuff about Trump in his speeches over the weekend. But I did not see where he actually addressed the fact that we had this just a horrible shooting, and the victim, as far as the victim, just had graduated from high school fairly recently. So, and was by all accounts, they're saying a good kid. It's just horrible that this happens in Philadelphia. And he recently had a birthday and had turned 19. So we have that one going on. We have other news as well as, of course, Trump in the news over the weekend. He was out golfing. I know that we played the audio earlier of Trump making some off-color remarks. I don't think it was planted. I'm going to disagree with others. And I wish for whoever was recording Trump secretly or whatever, and he made some off the cuff remarks after the presidential debate. I guess it was last weekend before last. I don't think it does well for Trump. I think that he had a very respectable performance in his debate, and he was solid. And so something with, cursing or dissing on Biden, not necessary at all. So I don't think that does him well. That's just my take. If you disagree, 855-839-1210 is that number to call. A lot of other news that I'll update for you. One that caught my eye, and we were down the shore. Tell me where you were. We were in Ocean City. We had, Wildwood, just for a little back and forth because we have Buddy Boy. And Buddy Boy's he's just elderly. So we don't want to kennel him right now. So one of us would drive back and forth so the kids could see friends and the fireworks and all that good stuff. So, but with our dog, and I know this is, maybe you're going to criticize me, but there's no way that I'm going to leave my Buddy Boy somewhere and kennel him anymore. He's over 100 years old and he likes his routine. And unlike those around President Joe Biden, I am not cruel to whether it's an elderly dog or an elderly relative. Give them their respect. Oh, I'm Buddy Boy. I'm a dog lover. So is that something, even though Wildwood is so dog friendly, I do love Wildwood. Most restaurants and venues, and by the way, rentals, they'll all take dogs, which is to their credit. But Buddy just becomes so disoriented when he's out of his element. So that's one of the reasons. But I hope you had a wonderful, beautiful July 4th weekend. As far as other news of the weekend, one that was so sad to me was the rescue efforts. Did you see this in the suburbs of this 2-year-old little boy who's in critical condition right now in the hospital? This is crazy. They're having a family party, dinner party, birthday party. The kids go out after the dinner, and they're right in the driveway. And this huge tree must be more than 100 years old. A huge branch falls some 50 feet, crashes down, trapping this little boy. They have rescue efforts to get this huge branch off of him. They rush him to Children's Hospital. He lost his arm. That's the latest report this morning. I don't know if you saw that. Oh, my goodness. Some of these is just, you think, what a freak accident. So he has survived, but he's in critical condition. But his arm is, and I don't know which arm it was, but they had to amputate the rest of the arm because it was crushed by this huge tree. Oh, my goodness. So there's that one going on. We also have Senator Bob Menendez. We're watching this very carefully in New Jersey. This is the federal corruption trial of longtime Senator Bob Menendez in the final days. So he expects that the jury will find him not guilty, which would be incredible because remember the last time around when he beat that one. So this is a 70-year-old senator who is charged with accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars in gold bars, thus the name Gold Bar Bob, cash envelopes. Allegedly, he was bought out and was giving his influence, a pay-to-play situation, that's the allegation by these prosecutors, to deliver favors to 3 New Jersey businessmen. Throughout the trial, it's notable that Menendez has made on-camera statements only in Spanish, with one exception that was late last week when he said he looked forward to his lawyer's summation. That would be today. So the trial of his wife, Nadine, by the way, delayed as she's battling stage 3 breast cancer. There's a final witness testifying this morning before the prosecution is expected to rest its case, and then closing arguments are set to begin. So Menendez, remember, running as an independent to keep his job or fundraise and allow some of the money to go to help his defense. But he's running against Representative Andy Kim, his fellow Democrat, who's ahead in the polls. Some polls show Andy Kim is ahead by 12 points. Others that it's within striking distance, depending on which poll you're looking at. But I had interviewed last week businessman Curtis Bashaw. So if you know the Congress Hotel, famous, beautiful and iconic Cape May, the Congress Hotel. It's beautiful. Love that place. But he's Curtis Bashaw, known as a business person. And I believe that he was on a few committees under the current governor and Democrat, under Murphy. So he was kind of a surprise coming out of nowhere just this January, running as a Republican, saying, hey, we need an outsider, a business person, and talking about parental rights being violated, especially more recently and during the pandemic, talking about the pandemic shutdowns, talking about the higher taxes, and talking about business and the abysmal business climate, the taxes created by the Democrat machine in Jersey. So he's refreshing, and he's not a partisan politician at all, running as a pro-choice Republican in blue New Jersey. So we're watching all of this very carefully. But, you know, any way you look at it, no matter what your opinion, with Menendez, he is saying he's not going to drop out of the race. And running as an independent, he's still getting about 3%, depending at the very least. And that really, if it becomes a close election, then Menendez is a factor. So we're watching that one very carefully indeed. So your thoughts, we'll talk about all of it. Do I have to take a quick break? No? Okay. So your thoughts, 855-839-1210 is the number to call. Let's get to, do we have Sue? Hey, Sue.
Hey, Dawn.
Hey.
So, you know, I'm kind of riffing on what you were talking about earlier about Trump. Now, I think that the rules during the debate really worked in his favor because he wasn't able to just keep interrupting Biden. I think the fact that he had to step back and just let Biden do his own thing and let him self-destruct was great. Now, I just hope that the campaign cognoscenti that are, you know, advising him don't make mistakes. I think it's his to lose at this point. And if he were to have this no-holds-barred thing with Biden, not to say that they would agree to do it, but if he did that, he could only lose ground looking like he's picking on the demented old man. I feel like it's really important that he doesn't make any missteps now because he's got a lot of goodwill that he built up because of being portrayed as a victim. The gag order also worked in his favor. And I just hope that they don't do something stupid. There's plenty of time to do something stupid. And, you know, so I just hope they don't. I hope they keep keeping the high road and he looks more statesmanlike because that's working for him.
Yes. And that's why, and Sue, to your point, that's why I thought that viral video of Trump, you know, saying, oh, I beat that old geezer or whatever he said, and then there's a curse word in there, and his son, Barron, who just turned 18 and graduated high school, is right there. They're on the golf course.
Right.
I don't know who videoed that and got that. You know, I know that Sean Farish and Nick Hale earlier kind of agreed that they thought maybe, or at least Sean thought, oh, that was a plant. They did that on purpose. I don't know that they did. And I agree with you. At this point, you've got the momentum. Keep it going. Why do anything that does not look presidential? And I think, you know, with the polls the way they are right now, if you believe them, and I'm like you, I'm always nervous. I'm always thinking, okay, GOP, RNC, nobody, don't do anything to mess it up. Just, you know, stay focused.
And also, too, the people may be feeling a little bit like, okay, the boot is off of our neck now because Trump is ahead, but I don't want people to sit back on their laurels and go to vote. I think it's still important to do this if our lives depend on it because they really do.
Yeah. And you said it well, Sue. Thank you so much for your call and your great thoughts. And I think Sue's right. Our lives and our livelihoods do depend on it because we've got to get our country back. We've got to get our economy back. That's the bottom line here. And my God, you know, can you even imagine continuing on? And I haven't even talked today about Title IX and the challenges to it. I had updated you last week, and we do want to get Meg Brock on again and talk to her. She just wrote another piece for the Daily Caller. But thinking about Title IX and the fact that all of these different states are winning in court as far as not having those Title IX rules that Biden, and this was an Obama idea, although Biden's go much further as far as forcing biologically born girls and young women to be in a locker room or a bathroom in a school or a sports setting and that they have no rights. It's really stripping girls and women of our rights and forcing them to be subjected to, somebody who is a biological male, as I always say, with the full male apparatus hanging out. Oh, my goodness. It's just not appropriate to be forced there. All right, 855-839-1210. I think Christine Flowers is just ahead, so I want to stay on time and get her take on a few things. We do have some other developing stories of the day. Thanks for being here. This holiday back to work, if that's you, it certainly is me, so maybe you're getting an extra day to travel back. 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Woody Harrelson has a serious disdain for the cell phone.
I like to be in touch with people in a way, but I don't like the appendage on my appendage.
So spot on.
As he's saying that on a device that you can only get on your phone.
Has he done a lot of drugs and alcohol?
Oh,
Because he
course.
sounds like his brain has just gone into slow motion. As Woody Harrelson said, the last thing you really do on your phone for the most part is actually make phone calls.
Start your day with Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at 1-888-403-1050. Imagine safeguarding you and your family with a tangible asset that has stood the test of time. Gold. With Noble Gold Investments, you can diversify your portfolio and protect your wealth from economic turmoil. Our team will guide you through the process, ensuring you make informed decisions that best suit your needs. Call Noble Gold Investments today at 1-888-403-1050. That's 1-888-403-1050. The future is uncertain. Take control now. Call 1-888-403-1050.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Inflation, recession, interest rates, the Fed. How do you make sense of it all? Join Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sundays at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Get your child or grandchild ready for back to school. The summer is a great time to call Kathy Ganna and METC. Get a game plan in place for a great start to the new school year. Call the Motivational Educational Tutoring Company. For over 30 years, METC's tutoring studio, founded by educator Kathy Ganna, has helped people of all ages to grow personally and academically. Call Kathy today at 215-493-4200. METC offers motivational SAT prep as well as academic skills and leadership training. And now's the time to get assistance for your child to help them succeed. Visit online at METC.com. Call METC's tutoring studio today at 215-493-4200 or email Kathy directly at info@METC.com. Remember, 1210 listeners receive a free 1-hour consultation. Take advantage of this opportunity to help your child get one-on-one help. Call 215-493-4200.
Free speech lives here, on the air, and on the Odyssey app. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT.
Yes, so in Harrisburg, lawmakers still working on the budget. TikTok, here we are. What day is it? July 8th. So this thing should have been one and done by June 30th. We're into the new fiscal year, and we don't have a budget. And reportedly, these Lifeline scholarships that I've done a ton of shows, as you well know, but education, vouchers, Lifeline scholarships, certainly that's a big part of the sticking point, because Democrats want no part of that because, of course, of the union. The union, look at the NEA, look at the teachers' union leadership. They donate 100% to Democrats. It's a lot of money, and so they don't want to lose that money. So it's a show me the money moment, if you will. So do we have Christine Flowers? Christine Flowers, my friend, I hope you had a beautiful July 4th holiday weekend.
I did, my darling. How are you? It's been a minute. Happy. When I came on with Jimmy Kelly, I wished him a happy New Year, which just it's the heat stroke. It's the heat. But it was a great holiday. I tell you, I fall in love again with the city, which I often, I do love Philadelphia. It's home. And it's sort of like a love-hate relationship. But I fall in love again with the city over that particular holiday because there really is no better place to be than Philadelphia on Independence Day. And I was walking by Independence Hall, on Thursday, on the 4th, and I saw this young family. They were South Asian. I wasn't sure if they were from India or from Pakistan. And they was a mother, father, little girl, and they were trying to take a selfie in front of Independence Hall. And I went up to them and I said, "Can I help you? Do you want me to take a picture?" And they were very happy, and we took a picture, and then we started chatting. And they were the most delightful human beings, Dawn, because they were Indians, became naturalized Canadian citizens, and they're living here in the United States because the wife has an immigrant visa, a U.S. visa to work here. And they told me they always come down to Philadelphia on the 4th of July because that is where they truly feel connected to this country. And I was like, I got tears in my eyes. I was just so, it's so corny. But that really is the thing. So with all of the craziness going around, we do have that one thing about truly being the place to be on Independence Day.
Yeah, and we take it for granted so often, and it is a sin and right now the Chinese Lantern Festival has been going on too. There's so much happening. There were some great events. Yeah. And it's why I was so saddened to hear about that mass shooting that happened on the evening of the 4th. It was just tragic to hear of that. And I know police are searching for that individual. But I will say this, down the Jersey Shore, it was packed. And I think this year is the year where the businesses are making it all back post-pandemic.
Yeah.
It was like, you felt like you were in New York City crowds. Down the shore.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, jam-packed.
And it's great. You harken back to, I call it the olden days, the pre-pandemic days, but also when I was a kid and I was a teenager and you'd go down there and that was the place to be during the summer. To circle back really quickly to something you said about the tragedy that occurred on the evening of the 4th of July, I was reading a headline from the Inquirer today, which it made me laugh, as many of their headlines do these days. It said, despite GOP comments, the crime rate really is sinking in Philadelphia. And I'm thinking, it's not the GOP that is arresting people, mopping up the blood from the streets, having to deal with the fallout from people who have been shot, who have to deal with, retailers closing their businesses because of shoplifting. It's not the GOP doing this. It's not just perception. There really is no major drop in crime in Philadelphia. So I just find that really amusing that the Inquirer yet again finds a way to sort of stick the shiv in conservatives or the GOP or Republicans, and they're really manipulating the facts.
Big shocker here. What did you make of Biden's visit over the weekend to a couple stops here in Philadelphia and then on to Harrisburg? I know that Bob Casey Jr. was with him, Fetterman by his side, at least in Harrisburg. Governor Shapiro didn't speak that I saw, but met him at a coffee shop in Harrisburg later for a little photo op. What do you make of Biden, bringing his plea to these local, churches?
Well, you and I have not spoken since that debacle last Thursday, the Thursday before last, with the debate. I think that the damage is so deep and so irreversible from that evening, and because of what had preceded that evening, all of the so-called cheap fakes that they said that the media were doing, which were quite accurate representations of Biden's deficiencies, mental deficiencies, and deterioration. I think that the damage has been done. I do not honestly believe that his visits to the churches and to shore up his whatever support he has among Democrats in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania are that effective, because I think the narrative, the horse is out of the barn, Katie barred the door. There is no way to avoid the very clear perception, I don't want to say perception, the clear truth, the verity of the fact that Joe Biden is deteriorating. And it's also anyone who's worked in the healthcare field or anyone who has had a family member who is debilitated or elderly understands the concept of sundowning, which is that after a certain hour in the day, be it 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that person has lost the capacity to fully function. They can maybe manage in the early hours of the day, they're coherent, they respond, but that as you get further in the day and the body is being taxed more and more and more, they are not able to respond and function. And I think we saw that in the debate, and I think we see that with Joe Biden. I don't know if he had any late date appointments yesterday. I think everything was pretty much front-ended in the morning, and I think that we're always going to see that. They're always going to trot him out, with Jill Biden. And don't get me, don't even get me started on Jill Biden. I think that what she is doing is despicable. As the entire family is focused on their own narcissistic needs and not the needs of this elderly gentleman. However, I think that it's very clear that no matter how many good moments Joe Biden has and how many can be captured by a friendly media, and he has friendly media in Philadelphia, you know that, it's not going to counterbalance what we saw with our own eyes. And I have to say with Donald Trump, I'm pleasantly surprised that he's been very disciplined, because when you see your enemy or your opponent flailing in the water, you just stand back. You don't do anything. You just let them unravel. And pretty much that's what Trump is doing. He hasn't made any major gaffes, except for a couple of things that, we've referenced. He's been pretty much standing on the sidelines and just watching the White House burn to the ground with, these things. And also, can we say that Robert Hur special counsel deserves a huge apology from every single person who criticized him and said that he was lying about Joe Biden's ability to stand trial? I mean, we see this. We see that he is compromised. So I don't think very much of what he did this weekend, and I don't think very much of what he's going to be doing in the next couple of weeks and months. And I have to be honest, I was watching TV yesterday, and they had breaking news, and Joe Biden comes on. He's at the pulpit at one of the churches, and I thought, oh, okay, he's going to announce that he's withdrawing from the race. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited. And no, he was just prattling on, the malarkey and the blah, 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 blah. And I went to Mass, and then I woke up, and I was thinking when he said I went to Mass, I said, oh, did the ceiling fall in on your head? But for the most part, it just was like, this is breaking news. Yes, it's breaking news that he's vertical at a pulpit and he's not falling apart. And that's pretty sad.
I want to talk about some of your latest pieces that you've written, but Broad and Liberty, one of the publications that you write for, Christine Flowers, quite often, has a new and exclusive report of how Upper Darby has paid back over $40,000 spent on toy drives, holiday dinners to HUD, and some of that money allegedly was routed through the charity of newly elected Mayor Ed Brown, but now the city is, paying it back. Eek.
Yeah. Gosh, corruption in Delaware County? That's just a shocker.
Who's ever heard of that?
No, my gosh, that's just crazy. And I've lived. I mean, I'm a Delco girl from 1969. I live in the city now, but I mean, I still have very, very deep roots in Delco, and I write for the Delco Times. So, no, this is not a surprise. There's been a lot of. I mean, this isn't unique to Upper Darby either. There are other towns across the Delaware Valley, but Upper Darby has a reputation for not being that transparent and paying that money back. It's an embarrassment, but at least they're doing the right thing only because they were found out. I mean, you can imagine that this is not something that they're doing out of Christian charity or, that they just decided that they were going to do this. No, somebody found out about what they were doing and reported it and revealed it. I don't know. I think more of this is going to start happening. We have this is going to sound like, she's such a partisan, but I mean, the Democrats have taken over county council. Delaware County is now a Democratic county. Yeah. For years, the hypocrisy is so blatant. For years, the Democrats who were in the minority would point at the GOP and say, they're so corrupt, and this is such a grandfather nepotism kind of situation, and you have to be a Republican to get a job here and everything. And when they got into office, they just did the same thing, which is what people always do. They say, we're going to clean up. And they're cleaning up. They're cleaning up financially. They're doing. They're exploiting their position of authority right now. So I'm not surprised. It's sad. Upper Darby is one of those areas that is. Some of it is extremely depressed, and it wasn't that way when we moved in 1969 to Havertown, which is a neighbor. But it's mismanagement, mishandling. The Democrats have done absolutely nothing to improve the quality of life of a lot of people in that area, and the crime rate has risen in Upper Darby incrementally over the years. So if you're asking me, what am I shocked? No. And is this news? No. But it's very sad that these things continue to happen in my home turf.
You were, just to go over some of the other, were you surprised by the strong seemingly partisan wording that was used by Justice Sonia Sotomayor in her dissenting comment when she wrote it about, whether or not a president of the United States of America has immunity? I mean, you are an attorney. You went to law school. You're an immigration attorney, but you're an attorney. I mean, as somebody who looks at these responses from the Supreme Court justices and in her dissent, I know that you have written about it in Broad and Liberty, but were you taken aback?
No, because we've had experience with Sonia Sotomayor in the past. To me, she is the least accomplished of the justices on the court, and it has nothing to do with her politics, because I like Alana Kagan, who is also very liberal, who was the Solicitor General, I believe, under, was it Obama? And she is very, very critical of the conservative majority, but she has gravitas, Dawn, and she is a woman who understands her position. I don't have enough experience with Ketanji Brown Jackson because she's only been on the court for, I guess, a year or so. She also wrote one of the kind of like hormonal hysterical dissents to the immunity decision. But Sonia, from the moment that she came out of the gate saying that the court needed a wise Latina, I knew that we were in trouble, because she is not someone who understands the gravitas and the sobriety of her position. She has always been a flamethrower. She's always been angry because she is in the minority in so many of these cases. We can talk about her legal reasoning in the dissent, which I think in my piece in Broad and Liberty, I kind of go through it, and I think she's wrong. But if that dissent had been written by Alana Kagan, for example, or even Ketanji Brown Jackson, I think that it would have had a bit more, a persuasive sense to it. Whereas with Sonia, she's just screaming, and it's like, she's got this passionate hatred of what she thinks the majority is doing, and they're crowning a king. And then, the whole thing, I'm Italian. I had Italian aunts and grandmothers, and when they wanted to emphasize a point and they got really angry, they would repeat a word over and over and over again, like shame, shame, shame. They would look. I remember my grandmother pointing at me one time. Well, in this dissent, that's exactly what Sonia does. She talks about if a president took a certain act, would he be able to be prosecuted for it? And she goes, no, immune, immune, immune. And there's an exclamation point after each immune. And I'm thinking of my grandmother, and it's laughable. So, no, her tone it didn't surprise me because she's done this before in a lot of other decisions. I also have to laugh at Ketanji Brown Jackson because, as I wrote in my piece, it's almost as if she can't take yes for an answer. And she had a dissent in the Idaho abortion case, and that was the case where the Supremes sent the case back down to Idaho to see whether or not the Idaho law violated EMTLA, the emergency requirement that you have to have treatment if you are a pregnant woman and your life or your health are in danger. But and they sent it back down, which means that the Idaho law is stayed, that it can't be applied. And so, yes, you can get late-term abortions and you can get the treatment that you need for the time being. And Ketanji Brown Jackson, instead of celebrating it, she writes a dissent, not even a concurrence. Yeah. I think her dissent was, this is horrible. This is making women second-class citizens. This is putting their lives in danger. I'm like, lady, did you read the majority? They actually did what you wanted them to do. And she's like, so we got these two crazy women. That's what I said in my piece. I said we had these two hormonal meltdowns with these Supreme Court justices.
Just embarrassing.
Isn't it? But it is. It is embarrassing. It's like, and then you have the sober justice. You have Amy Coney Barrett, who is, she's a conservative, but she's disappointed a bunch of conservatives with some of her decisions and concurrences. And she, quietly and politely lays out the case. And I'm thinking, all right, we got the Latina screaming over here. We have Ketanji Brown Jackson. And then we have Notre Dame graduate, Amy, quietly explaining everything. And I'm thinking, it's just like a Saturday Night Live sketch. I wish Saturday Night Live was doing original shows right now, because they could have just had one of the crazy ladies doing Sonia screaming, running up and down.
Well, Christine Flowers, until next time, my friend, I'm up against a tough break, but thank you so much. It's great to catch up. And
it's great to talk to you, honey. Take care.
Thank you. You take care, too, and stay cool in this heat.
You too.
It's July. It's mid-90s, but they're saying it's going to feel like 104 today, so be safe. Hopefully you're not out too much today. Christine Flowers.
Take care, honey. Bye.
You too. Broadandliberty.com. She also obviously writes for many publications. You could see her on Sundays on 6ABC as well. Quick break. Your thoughts, 855-839-1210. We have to wrap up. And speaking of naturalization ceremonies, we'll have some fun with the citizenship test and other developments as well. Be right back.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
Heat advisory continues tomorrow until 8 o'clock in the evening. High of around 94, a mix of sun and clouds and even possible thunderstorm in the afternoon. Sunday, we'll get up to 93, a little bit less humid. On Monday, partly sunny, still hot, around 92.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. For over 35 years, we've grown by offering our clients more offices, more lawyers, and recovering more than $20 billion. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop. But the playoffs just ended. Boston Celtics won, and now we get fewer games. But it's okay. Have no fear, because with FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, it keeps the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. During the summer, FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg, and make the most out of your summer. You still have baseball. The Phillies are playing well. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. Don't forget, FanDuel.com/Greg. 21 and over, present in Pennsylvania. Opt-in required. Wager requirements apply. Bonuses awarded as non-withdrawable bonus bets or profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including bonus expiration. See terms and conditions at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Eric was way behind on his taxes.
I owed a lot of money to the IRS, almost $15,000. I tried to make payments.
The IRS wasn't satisfied with Eric's efforts, so they came after him full force.
They're coming to put a lien and a hold on all my income, my home, my car. I was just overwhelmed at what to do.
Then Eric called Optima Tax Relief.
When Optima Tax got involved, the calls would stop, the threats would stop. It was easy like 1, 2, 3.
Optima Tax Relief is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and their team of expert tax professionals took care of Eric's problem.
I owe $15,000, and now my debt is clean. I don't owe anything.
Take Eric's advice.
If you have a tax problem, you need to call Optima Tax now.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, it's Rich Zioli. I'm joined here today by my friend, the co-president and CEO of Cooper University Healthcare, the one and only Dr. Anthony Mazzarelli. Dr. Maz and I are here to tell you about our buddy, Dr. Mike Veneria. Not only is he my dentist, he's my family's dentist as well. And not sure if you knew this, he's Dr. Maz's dentist too.
That's right, Rich. Dr. Mike Veneria is and has been my dentist also. And, doctors choosing doctors, that can be quite a selective process. And not only do I go to him, but for years, my sister and my niece and my nephew, the whole family goes.
Well, it's no secret. We're all delighted by the care that Dr. Mike Veneria and his award-winning team provide, and you need to check him out.
Whether you're looking for pediatric, general, cosmetic, implant dentistry, you don't need to look any further. Dr. Veneria's office does everything. Dr. Veneria's office also exceeds all CDC guidelines and has always maintained the strictest infection control, like their centralized UV sterilization of airflow, which is incredibly important to me.
Locations are right over the bridge in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. Your perfect smile's waiting. Call 856-786-2020 or visit veneriadental.com.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles.
Highly logical.
Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Do you owe back taxes or have unfiled tax returns? The IRS won't quit until they get your money. Here's great news, fresh from those in the know. Major changes have happened at the IRS. If you owe more than $10,000, you may be eligible for a 99% reduction of what you owe. Haven't filed a return for a while? Their happy clients are talking.
The IRS was going to levy my bank account, but Guardian was able to prevent that and fix all my IRS issues. Thanks again, Guardian Tax.
Need relief from crushing tax debt? The IRS now has special programs. Guardian Tax knows all about them. Personal or business, this is the fresh new break you've been hoping for.
We aren't the company you call when you need a hug because you're scared of the IRS. Guardian Tax is the company that wins when you need it most.
Guardian Tax Service is really great to work with. They really help me out. I'd recommend them highly.
Call now for a free confidential consultation. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608. 800-505-1608.
For eligible individuals, 18 and older only. Results vary. See website for details and important safety information.
How are your hearing aids sounding now?
A little tinny.
Okay, 2 seconds.
With Jabra Enhanced Selects Premium Package, better hearing doesn't happen in a doctor's office. It happens at home. All done remotely from initial testing to adjustments.
How are they sounding now?
Fantastic. So much better. You get the same advanced hearing aid technology and professional support you expect from a clinic at a fraction of the cost. And if you have any issues, we'll make adjustments 7 days a week, no charge.
Oh, you people are wonderful.
Our premium package includes hearing aids, 3 years of follow-up care, plus a 3-year warranty with loss and damage coverage, and a 100-day money-back guarantee.
I hear better than I ever thought possible.
Save $300 on Enhanced Select 500 hearing aids automatically at checkout. Just go to JabraEnhance.com/try. That's JABRA Enhance.com/try. JabraEnhance.com/try.
Hey, Clementon. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
So Donald Trump, I'll talk around the corner. I'll talk about what his latest on Truth Social as he's talking about Supreme Court rulings, because he still has to deal, even though the SCOTUS ruled, but left some things, a little bit ambiguous. And now I think that he feels maybe this should be on appeal, go back to SCOTUS. Will something end up back with the Supreme Court? I kind of doubt it. They've kicked things back to the lower courts. But in other news, I know that Trump has disavowed or distanced himself from the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025. And we talked about this earlier on Kale & Company, so I didn't go into it, during my time, because sometimes I try to give you new stuff. But you can look it up. It's Project 2025. It's a Heritage Foundation. So whether it's Heritage, whether it's another conservative nonprofit think tank, on the left, they have all of those, liberal think tanks that are out there. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're writing for a president that's a Democrat or Republican, depending on the think tank. So this is just the media being irresponsible. I mean, that's my bottom line on that with the whole Project 2025. This is something that Heritage Foundation, as well as any conservative nonprofit, they're going to write something up. These are their philosophies. I will tell you that it's a lie that they are saying that there should be some federal, pro-life mandate. That's just a lie. And I know that that's being put out there in the media. So don't get tricked by that, because that is a lie. Number two, I will say, as far as the Heritage Foundation, basically to sum up, 900 some pages. If you look at it, what they're talking about is cutting out bureaucracy. That's the bottom line. Cutting out, whether it's DOJ, whether it's the Department of Education, it's just a conservative, it's something we all believe as conservatives, that the government is full of bureaucrats. There's too much fat. Let's cut it out and cut out some of this government spending. It's unnecessary. And if you do the cuts, you might cut out some of the swamp as well. That's my bottom line on it. I know Liz Cheney's out there. Why doesn't she just shut up? I can't believe she's still out there. She lost in office her own base, if you will, as a Republican. They booted her. They fired her. And so now, apparently, she's out there talking about all of this as well. Makes me nauseous. All right. So on a brighter note, I love this story. And this is about, on the USS New Jersey, they were naturalization ceremonies as citizens were being sworn in, talking about this. It's just, you think of July 4th. And what our country what our freedom and our Constitution, our republic, what it means to us. I thought this was touching. And so let's, if you and Jimmy can play this, let's listen in.
Be God. Congratulations, you're officially citizens of the United States.
My name is Bjorn Pedersen, United States Navy veteran, born in
Norway.
Yay. Been in the country for 73 years. Today, I am becoming a U.S. citizen.
Here it is, right
Hey,
there.
I got it all now. It's something you think about, and I'm not getting younger. If I don't do it now, it might be a little too late.
God bless America.
Yeah, it was perfect timing, and we're going to go on this nice little boat, especially being in the Navy. It fits in perfectly.
We are so proud today, I can tell. Congratulations. Today we're here on the battleship New Jersey for a naturalization ceremony where There's going to be 42 candidates from 21 different countries.
The Dominican Republic.
Yeah. 9 of the candidates have ties to the military. These candidates have been found qualified to become United States citizens, so they're here to take the final step, which is to take the oath of allegiance, to swear their allegiance to the new country, the United States.
Support and defend
The Constitution and laws of the United States of America.
So help me God. My name is Jesus Martinez Turvey. I'm 21 years old and I'm from Miami, Florida. American citizen. Originally, I'm from the Dominican Republic.
So are we in this together?
Yes. I was going to college and I kind of lost my weight, you know. I didn't know what to do. And I said, I joined the Air Force. And this is the best thing that ever happened to me. I appreciate it, man. Today, I'm becoming a citizen. This is like a big milestone in our family. And I'm pretty happy about it, you know.
Welcome home, everyone.
Congratulations, man. You did it, bro. You did it.
My name is Joanna Mazare. I'm from Jordan and I'm in the Army Reserves.
Just like yesterday, right?
I've always dreamed of being here. The opportunities here are amazing. I love being in college here. I'm a full-time college student. I can't imagine being anywhere else.
with liberty and justice for all.
This country treats you with so much respect, kindness, and generosity.
Congratulations, great job today.
You can get any opportunity as long as you reach out for it. That's what makes this country so great and so different.
So great job today.
I would love to give that back, and I already feel like I am, but I would like to do more. I'm absolutely proud of being an American.
Well, we're proud to have you. And that's really the example when you think of people coming to this country and doing it the right way. And I feel such American pride when I hear them and hear bits of their stories, why they love America. And we are the greatest country on earth. Even when, even when things are at the toughest, whether it's economically, we got through the pandemic, all of that, it's we the people. And we the people, we are what makes this country, we make this country the greatest on earth. And so I love our republic. I love these individuals who did it the right way, the legal way. And when I think of those who fought for our freedoms, I think of these Chester County middle schoolers who created these 20 fake TikTok accounts, these little smart alecks, impersonating their middle school age teachers. They got in big trouble. And what did the school do? Well, the school called the police, called the authorities, wanted them to get into legal trouble. They even went so far as to call the attorney general. They want the AG to come talk to these kids. And then finally realized that, well, we'll send a letter home. To me, my take on this situation with the Great Valley School District in Chester County there is that these middle schoolers, the best thing they could have done is bring them in one by one with their parents and have a conference, have a conversation, and find out, first of all, did they all work together to create these TikTok? They took off the school website, I guess. They took the teachers' pictures. They made TikTok fake accounts impersonating the teachers and making these parody accounts. But the school, the statement that they released on this, and they talk about this, that it's so disheartening. They briefly suspended several students, apparently, for their role in creating these accounts, and insinuated that one teacher was a pedophile, which is, of course, horrible and horrifying, and, saying they want to discipline these kids. But then, guess what happened? They consulted with their legal counsel, and they realized, First Amendment, which I can't believe that these teachers didn't even realize this. They didn't even realize that, you can't really do that. So not that I'm condoning it. I know that we talked about this earlier on Kale and Company, but it's sad to me that the first instinct of these administrators was not to go to the parents, have private conversations, make it that teachable moment. And so that to me is the sad piece of this, that they wanted to release a public statement. These kids were disrespectful. That's the bottom line. They were just plain disrespectful of their teachers. So make it a teachable moment. Have the conversation. And especially when some of them were making up horrible things, think about the ramifications of how that teacher feels that teacher who is just an educator did nothing wrong and is portrayed in this way. But instead, they make it this public event, releasing a statement. They should worry more about the education of these kids and the mindset of these kids and working with their parents rather than worrying about, I guess, their own appearance. That's my take on that one. You know, it's road trip season, if you will. I mean, we're in the heart of summertime. No time like the present to get back out on the roads. My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're always going to help you find that luxury vehicle you've been eyeing. Piazza has thousands of new and certified pre-owned vehicles from some of the most beautiful, powerful brands on the roadways: Mercedes-Benz, Land Rover, Jaguar, Maserati, BMW, Porsche, Alfa Romeo, and more. Visit PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. You can stop by one of their Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey dealers. PIAZZA, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Make sure you tell them Dawn sent you. Well, now we're driving on to the Dom Giordano Show. Hey, Dom, happy Monday.
Hey, thanks, Dawn. Why are the African-American Congressional Black Caucus and others the most standing with Biden? Don't they believe in Kamala? And Martina White here, what will Josh Shapiro do since he could be the VP choice on school choice?
Oh, my goodness. Dom Show comes up now.
Don't count on summer heat to melt away those extra pounds. That doesn't work. But here's something that does work, and that's NJ Diet. For over a decade, NJ Diet has helped thousands of people lose a contractually guaranteed 20 to 40 plus pounds in only 40 days. That's nearly twice as fast as weight loss injections